Update. My male 50 wife female 48 abandoned me to find herself. Original post. My wife Mary's family has a history of dementia, developing memory issues in their mid to late 50s. Her mom, grandmother, and several other relatives on her mom's side have developed dementia. Her mom lived with us for 4 years until earlier this year. Her father is deceased. Our kids are independent and out of the house. Oldest is in her last semester of college, and our younger enlisted. The last 4 years were tough on us. Our kids. Daughter moved for college but moved back for a bit during COVID. And our marriage. Living with someone with dementia is brutal. We had talked a lot last year about taking the remaining college funds, our regular savings, sell or rent the house as we were ready to downsize anyway, quit our jobs and travel for a year or until the money runs out. We just had to wait for her mom to move into a home. I understand her anxiety about developing dementia, and I was burned out. You live through COVID working remote, a wife working remote, a college and high school student taking remote classes, and a mother-in-law with dementia, and see how we hold up. Space finally opened up and we were able to move her mom into a care facility. I finally thought I had a chance to breathe. When we moved Mary's mom out, Mary's mental health took a huge downward spiral. I went from caring for her mom to caring for her. She felt guilty about putting her mom in home and had lots of anxiety about developing dementia. Our plan was to start our traveling summer 2024. But 2 months ago, I got home and she's left a note. My friends call it Exhibit A. Basically, she was going on our trip without me. She had quit her job, took most of the savings, and wasn't sure when she'd be back. Maybe a year, maybe sooner. She knew I'd understand. Her location is turned off and my calls go directly to voicemail. I texted the kids a picture of the note. We have our own checking accounts for direct deposits for our paychecks, but we'd transfer most into a joint account to pay the household bills and savings. We both had access to main savings account. We have joint credit cards we used for household expenses. The 2 cars and mortgage are joint. We both also have our own small savings accounts, our own retirement accounts, equally funded, and our own credit cards for gifts and fun things. I closed all joint cards and accounts. I waited a month to see if she'd come back, hopefully before she spent our savings. After receiving only 1 text the first month, I went to a lawyer. She basically said there was very little to do right now, other than change the beneficiaries of my retirement accounts and life insurance. Yay! My wife gets nothing else if I die alone while she's having our adventures. It was only a month and there was no way to serve her papers. My lawyer advised me to keep paying the mortgage and the cars. The cost of trying to get a judge to approve the sale of joint assets was more than making payments. I didn't want to ruin my credit by letting one of our car get repossessed, but I can't sell it because she's on the title. I get random texts and she sporadically posts on Instagram. Of course, she has comments turned off. I want to block her so bad, but my lawyer advised me that it's better to maintain a communication channel that's not through our kids. Her last post was from Hawaii. She put in the comments how great a husband I was for letting her take this trip. I'm barely making it paying 2 cars, a mortgage, household bills, insurance, hoping there are no emergencies because I have no savings. And she's enjoying our trip? F her. I'm so mad at her. I helped take care of her mom for 4 years, and her when she fell apart after her mom moved into a memory care home, and she returns the favor by abandoning me? I'll never get to take this trip and have to put off retirement. My only solace is the kids are mad at her too, but they'll probably forgive her eventually. Double F her. I'm no fool. She's hooking up with guys. She looks good, so she'll have zero problem getting men. I texted her and asked if she was sleeping around. A week later, she responded that she wasn't. Sure. So I'm drinking alone on a Friday night and she's somewhere. Probably on a beach, enjoying life. Triple F her. Edit. My lawyer has given me a bunch of advice and options. It was just way more than I could possibly include in this post. I could definitely push the issue harder and I might need to at some point, but all that work is very expensive. Finding her, serving her, getting a judge to sign off? That's not cheap. I'm following up soon and I plan on talking about the savings and my finances. Until I paid all the bills and realized how little was left, it didn't hit me that I'd had to worry about money. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Thanking you for letting her take this trip is basically her saying, when I get through living the single life, I'll be coming back to the comfort and security of married life. When she returns, I'd say, welcome home. Here are your walking papers. She 100% is under the delusion that she's coming back to a marriage. She's had a few conversations with our daughter, and she's convinced I'll understand and forgive her. Tell your daughter to pass along the message that you're filing for divorce for abandonment and see if this gets you some traction. I don't generally like the idea of going through kids, but they need to have your back on this. Maybe even tell her they'll cut her off as well if she keeps doing this to you and the family. Maybe even start posting about how she's living the good life and letting your friends and family know what kind of pickle this has put you in. Everyone probably assumes you're on board if you're not purposefully driving the true narrative. She only hears what she wants. I asked her to send me an address to serve her papers. She only told me that we'll work it out when she comes home. The hell we will. My daughter tells her all the pain she's causing, but she just says that she only has 5 to 10 years left until she gets dementia. It's impossible to know if she'll even develop dementia, but shouldn't she be spending this with her family? Yeah, you'd think she would. I still think that controlling the narrative online is necessary. There will be fallout resulting from the divorce if you don't get out in front of this, informing people she actually knows other than strangers on Reddit. She will make herself to look like she's a victim of a deranged and bitter husband. I think you'll get the most mileage by applying pressure through friends and family into court. I know court is expensive, but you're going to pay one way or the other. You might as well take the hit now. Also, I bet a PI with good internet sleuthing skills could help you find her much faster than you think. She has to be leaving a digital footprint since she's still posting and using her phone. It's amazing what you can find out about a person if you know how to look for the information. Now for the first update half a month later. I'm feeling much more positive now that the financial situation has become a little more manageable. Basically, I'm running up debt that will get paid off when I sell the house. Even with lawyer fees, I have 6 to 8 more months before I have to worry about money, assuming there are no emergencies. My friend's wife gave me some good advice. Don't go from being a hero to a villain in your kids' eyes. How I talk about and treat my wife will determine my future relationship with my kids. I don't care about my wife, but I don't want to make her a sympathetic figure or drive them away from both of us. I followed up with a lawyer. Basically, she said we're going to have her pay back the savings she took through a reduction in her share of the assets. Any division of assets will include the savings she took. She'll also have to repay the money I spent maintaining the household while she was gone. There is plenty of equity in her share of the house and her retirement plans to cover that. She said that our finances are so intertwined after nearly 25 years of marriage, my wife is going to get some share of the assets. Best cases, she agrees to the terms of the divorce, and it's relatively cheap and quick. Otherwise, it gets complicated and expensive. She gave me a lot of options and how much I can expect to spend, so I decided to just mostly wait. I got a couple of credit cards with promo rates for purchases and transfers that gives me breathing room and I can conserve cash. I'll just pay them off when I sell the house. Now that my financial situation is less stressful, I'm actually enjoying her being gone. I'm free to do whatever I want, whenever. I don't have to cook or clean or take care of anyone. The house is quiet for the first time since I can remember. I loved my wife, but her mental health weighed down our marriage. On balance, it was worth it until now. The first month or so, I expected her to be there whenever I'd get home. When someone was at the door or if I heard noises, I'd think it was her. I'd check doorbell cam obsessively. I'm not looking forward to her returning, but when she comes back, I'll have to deal with her. The divorce, getting the house ready to sell, dividing all our stuff, finding a new place to live. I'm hoping she'll stay away until after New Year's, but my daughter said she thinks her mom will be home for Christmas, either to stay or visit. My lawyer will have papers ready to serve her. Hopefully she'll just agree to the terms and continue her travels. People had some great advice, renting or selling the house, which is not really feasible right now, since I'd have to fix some stuff and get it ready to sell/rent. Since I need a place to live, the amount I net each month, rent to mortgage to rent on a new apartment to storage unit, it's just not worth it. My kids' rooms are still full of their stuff, and I don't want to spend the time and effort to clear them out and put them in storage. Getting a HELOC. This was great advice. I didn't realize I didn't need both people to get a loan. If I need more money, I can go this way. In the short term, the promo rates on the credit cards were cheaper and easier than getting a HELOC. Serving my wife divorce papers or getting a divorce in absentia. This is something I might need to do eventually, but the cost in lawyer fees goes up exponentially in cases like this. I'm comfortable just waiting for now. Look at a phone bill to see where she's at and possibly going. I did look at her usage. I did notice that she doesn't post in social media until after she leaves a place. When she posted about Hawaii, she made a call that day that originated in LA. She posted about a cruise and I figured out the dates. Tried to serve her at a port possibly, but it ended a couple of days before she posted. She tried adding international calling to her line, but I blocked it, so she removed her phone from our account. Oh my gosh, I'm infuriated on your behalf. The audacity of, my husband is so great for letting me take this trip. The petty in me hopes she'll be home for Thanksgiving because I want her world to explode. She's told her family she won't be home for Thanksgiving. Nobody told her my daughter and I are spending Thanksgiving with her family though. She can see the posts of us having a good time without her. That's petty revenge that doesn't hurt anybody. I love to see it. Your friend's wife gave you some really solid advice. Use this time while she's away to create new routines and traditions with your kids. Spend quality time with them. Encourage them to be open and honest, and be honest, within bounds, with them in return. Things will get rocky when she returns. Use this time to your advantage. And I'm glad you're feeling better. I hope you continue to heal and emotionally detach so you won't get pulled into her BS when she returns. So she's just going to blow through all the money and then assumes you'll take her back and care for her when dementia hits her? Seems to be her plan, but it's not mine. I hope her punishment is that she never gets dementia. She has to remember for the rest of her life what she did to the people she claims she cares the most about. Please change the locks on the house so she can just waltz back in while you were out one day. I'm so angry for you. I've been married for 23 years, and if my husband did this to me, God help anyone between me and him. She left her keys. I changed the code on the security system, the passphrase, and the password. I also found a new hiding place for the emergency key we had in the backyard. Now for the second update 3 months after the first post. My wife texted me in the middle of December that she'd be home for Christmas. I told her that we, our daughter and I, would be at my brother's. She obviously wasn't welcome. I'd leave her car in the driveway and the fob in the backyard. She wasn't allowed in the house unless I was there. She didn't have keys to get in, so she spent Christmas with her sister. When we got back, I met with her. I decided not to be overly confrontational because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of thinking I cared enough to be mad. She was taken aback about how detached I was. I could tell it bothered her that I didn't show her much emotion, not even anger. I just wanted her to agree to a divorce. This is a summary of several different meetings, both with and without our daughter. She hasn't wanted to meet with her mom alone yet. I asked why she left without telling anyone. She said she didn't want to wait a year. She didn't want anyone talking her out of it. She didn't want to work anymore. She wanted to leave before her mental health got worse. I'm sure it was mostly because she didn't want me to stop her from taking the money. She knew I would take care of everything with the kids in the house when she left. We had decided to go summer of 2024 for a few reasons. Packing everything and getting the house ready to sell was going to be a lot of work. We wanted to make sure our daughter graduated college, got a job, and was settled. We wanted to make sure we had money when we got back. We wouldn't have a house, cars, or jobs, so we needed money because it would take months to find work and a place to live. We didn't want to have any worries or deal with a mess back home. At some point in our planning, she began questioning, to herself, not me, if she ever wanted to go back to our old life. She didn't want to work full-time or buy a house and stay in one place after we got back. She wasn't sure what she wanted, but she didn't think she would figure it out talking to me. I told her that's the reason we were taking the trip, to figure those things out together, to see what we wanted for the next part of our life. I asked her why didn't she just get a divorce before she left. Then she wouldn't have had to do this behind our backs, and she would have had plenty of money without stealing our joint savings. She claims that she didn't want a divorce, that she wanted us to live whatever life she figured out. I told her that's not how marriages work, one person deciding for the other. In talking/texting our daughter, her family, my texts and voicemails, she realized I might not forgive her. She was right about that. So she might have to visualize a future without me. This is where I had hoped she would say some stupid stuff, like she was going to squander all her money living in a van and make travel vlogs, or she met some guy that she needed to wire money to so they could open an ice cream shop in Alaska. Instead, she wants to be a digital nomad, working part-time, fully remote, and living in new places. She tried to convince me to go with her, but I'll never be able to trust her. Plus, I don't love her anymore. Traveling like that for a few years doesn't sound bad, but she doesn't have a job or any work lined up. She's not in her 20s, and that way of living will get old quick. No close friends, no family. I want her to make it work so she won't be here trying to get back in our lives. 1. How are the kids doing? Our son wouldn't have seen us the entire time she was gone away. He only responds to her with very short texts. He told me she wanted to see him, but he said he was too busy and wouldn't be able to get away. He lives in the barracks, so it's an easy excuse to avoid her. My daughter stopped talking/texting her. She's pretty upset. Her worry turned to anger when she realized her mom wasn't having a mental breakdown, but it was just selfish. If her mom was sticking around, they could probably work through it eventually. I just care that my daughter is happy, so whatever she decides, I'll support. 2. Did she spend all the money? About half. I think she realized she needed to figure it out before she completely ran out of money. 3. Did she sleep with anyone? I didn't ask because I didn't care. Asking would imply I wanted her back or it would matter. Even though I didn't ask, she claims she didn't. Not sure if she's lying or not. She might just be saying that because she doesn't want the kids to have another reason to be mad at her. 4. Does she feel bad for what she put us through? She claims she does, and she wishes she had handled it differently. She said getting away and figuring herself out was best for her. I told her she was just being selfish. When she first left, we were worried something would happen to her. We would never see her again. She's always been self-centered. I told her she's taking the easy route and letting everyone else handle the difficult parts. If she gets sick, kids will take care of her. Goes broke, live with family. Abandon everyone, they'll forgive her. She thinks her siblings and our children will let her live with them like we let her mom live with us. I'm sure when she visualizes her future, she sees our kids there. They might not be, and definitely not in the same way they were before. Despite how it might sound, I'm actually really happy with how it all turned out. Our divorce is far from final, but we've agreed on the big things. We'll sell the house, how to split the retirement and profit from the house, how to pay back the money she took, and what I spent maintaining the household. I got most of what I wanted from the settlement, and she'll soon be, mostly, out of my life. I won't have to pay alimony, and because she's choosing to make significantly less money than she was, I won't be forced to support her. That would have been a kick to the teeth. She isn't my responsibility anymore, and I won't have to care for her if she does get sick or goes broke. I figured I'd start dating again. I didn't realize a 50-year-old man with children out of the house, a good job, and in decent shape would be a catch. I'm not fighting women off with a stick, but I've had a lot more interest than I expected. It's been kind of nice meeting new women. I've worked out the numbers and I'll be doing pretty well after everything is settled and I only have to support myself. Not where I wanted to be. 50, getting divorced and using Reddit as free therapy sessions. But I'm happier now that I've been in a while. I'm even planning a little vacation of my own. Thank you to everyone that has responded and reached out. It meant a lot. I predict she'll be back when she starts having health problems or runs out of money. It only took her a year to burn through half of your life savings. She'll burn through whatever she gets from the divorce before 5 years are out. I know some actual digital nomads. All of them are highly skilled in some sought-after tech field, are famous media personalities, or as workers. If your soon-to-be ex-wife isn't any of those, she'll soon be run to ground somewhere. People this selfish can literally not conceive of a world where they're not the main character, and everyone drops everything they're doing to help them. I give her a few months after the divorce is settled and family has dumped her. Once she realizes that she's not the main character, she'll want to go back to OP so she can have her old life back. Nope. She might be able to convince herself she doesn't care that he won't forgive her, but there's no way she's going to be happy being cut out by her kids and the rest of her family, if that's how things ultimately pan out. All she could do is go and party around the world for a couple months and steal the money her and OP had saved together of herself. I'm sorry you have had to deal with this, OP. You handled this about as well as anyone could have expected under the circumstances. You are a good man, and your family will forever know that when the chips were down, you put them first and she didn't. There's no walking that back no matter how much she begs or tries to explain herself. The only reason she's not admitting to sleeping with someone else while on her self-discovery was how it would make her look to friends and family, knowing this will blow up relationships with the kids especially. She still had a small glimmer of hope for not getting divorced as mentioned above, until you shut it down. And most importantly, how is grounds for divorce and repercussions in said divorce depending on where you live? There is virtually no way for a person to rediscover themselves, and the process not also involve their genitals. Either way, whatever she says can't be trusted. Sir, you are a catch. For your information, don't date anyone under 30. Cheers to a new life. I just recently got everyone out of the house. I'm not dating anyone that has young kids or wants kids. Not that it would matter if they did. I took care of that a while back. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex that it is not my responsibility to help her? I, 31 male, have a set of twins. Violet, 16 female, and Onyx, 16 male, with my ex Trisha, 31 female. We were the definition of trailer trash. We were addicted to hard substances and dropped out of high school. Her parents had 8 kids in a 4-bedroom trailer, so we couldn't live with them, so we lived with my mom. There was DV on both ends, but because I was 6'5", I was always the problem. 2 years after our kids was born, Trisha called the cops on me when we were high and drunk. They found hard substances on me, and I got locked up for 6 years. Trisha moved on immediately with a guy from the trailer park. Her boyfriend didn't want the twins with them, so they stayed with my mom. I'm so glad she wasn't vindictive and brought the kids to see me every Friday. During my time in prison, I got clean for my kids and also got my GED and associate's degree. I read a lot of science books and fell in love with physics. So once I got out, my mom helped me out while I finished my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I moved my mom and kids out of trailer park into a nice house in the suburbs once I had a decent job. My ex took the kids 1 weekend a month, even though her now husband still didn't like my kids. Fast forward to now. I bought my kids cars. My son took his when he visited his mother. The next day, my ex called me demanding I help with her kids. She explained that they're struggling and her husband's oldest daughter is now complaining about not having a car. I told her she's not my responsibility, and neither are her kids. She said that she'll cut my kids off if I don't give her what she wants. I explained that I don't care, and she'll be better out of our lives. Later, my kids told me about a text they got from their stepsister saying they're being horrible siblings. Their mom then sent them a text asking if they could sell the cars. And when they said no, she flipped out saying she's going no contact, and that she didn't raise them to be greedy brats. My son sent laughing emojis, while my daughter sent race. She texted me some more junk saying if they starve to death, it's my fault. My ex is a horrible person, but her kids didn't do anything. Should I give them some money? Now for the top comments. No. Heck no. Good on you for turning your life around. Your mom and kids must be so proud. Not a-hole. Bold assumption from OP that any money would go to the kids. Not a-hole. However much money you give your ex, it will never be enough. Let the trash take itself out. Stay away from her and her other kids. Exactly. The ex saw that OP had enough money to buy his kid a car. The first thing she thought was, he has enough money laying around to give to me. It never is enough money. My mother-in-law is like this, and luckily my wife realized it on her own after a couple years. My mother-in-law could be making $10 million a year, and she would still find a way to spend it all on stupid stuff. Always a victim, always struggling. Get a lawyer, get full custody, block her and everything. Her kids have a father. She needs to get up his butt about it. Not you, not the a-hole. Full custody and child support from deadbeat mommy. I don't know. The dude's making a healthy chunk of change as a mechanical engineer. If he doesn't need the money, I'd skip that part. The whole point is to cut the woman out of his life. Child support would require regular contact with her. I ruined my wife's life. Again. Original post. It feels depressingly sad that I feel that I have to turn to random internet strangers for some sort of validation in my rant. My apologies in advance as I try to keep this as vague as possible. I, male 43, tried to do my best to provide for my wife, female 38, and 2 kids, 3, 5, as well as my mother-in-law, and would like to think I'm doing a decent job. Over the years, I worked to improve our family's living situation. Not only did I complete another bachelor's and recently master's in a STEM-related degree, I at the same time worked 2 full-time jobs while completing my second bachelor's and put my wife through school as well. She completed a degree where she could make good money, about 60 to 70K a year in a healthcare field that always has jobs available. But with the birth of our 2 kids, she has since gave up on her career to be a stay-at-home mom for the time being. At first, it was a struggle while I was finishing up my master's. Once I completed it, after our youngest turned 3, my career took a jump up, and we are now able to afford our single-income household in a more feasible manner. We're far from rich, but do okay for a single-income family of 4, a little north of 150K base plus bonuses. The past year, life was overwhelming for my wife. So even though I now work 75% from home, I budgeted to hire a daytime nanny to help her around the house with 1 child, while the other is in school now. My day starts every day around 5:30 to 6 a.m. I get the house ready for the day before the nanny comes at 8 a.m. I get our oldest up and ready for school, breakfast made, and plan out my day, bringing our oldest to drop off, and be home in time to let the nanny in. My most recent task at work has me grounded for the next 2 months, meaning I am now 100% work from home. While this is nice, I am busy in meetings all day as my role manages teams on a global scale, as I oversee projects from my industry. For the past 1.5 months, I realized my wife, as much as she says her life is stressful at home, starts at 10 a.m. I asked my mother-in-law and nanny if this was always the case after a week or so of working from home, and they both responded more or less. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. My wife literally wakes up and cooks, and then scrolls through her phone or shops from home. Which brings me to my gripe. I am glad I am able to provide her that sort of life, since we both grew up lacking in means. I get the possibility of postpartum depression, the stress of having kids, the feeling of being unfulfilled, the fact that I probably am a crappy husband. But for what it's worth, everything is taken care of and then some. I manage the house's finances. She claimed she was too busy to do so. Pay all the household bills. I pay my own personal bills. I pay her bills, track and perform all the upkeep of our house appliances, cars, pets, etc. And I also help pay for my mother-in-law's medical bills and car note. But apparently, my life is on easy street compared to hers. I can't decompress to her because it seems like she always feels the need to one-up me. I had a bad day, but she had it worse, because I'm lucky I got to go away and work. My feet hurt from walking all day during work travel is nothing compared to her standing and cooking with a child clinging to her. For the past 2 or so years, I've been told I ruined her life, her opportunities, etc. But when I reminded her of what she says, she denies and dodges accountability. My mother-in-law has brought me aside and stated she's noticed it changed in both myself and my wife. I have a greater attachment to my kids. And heck, I've hugged the dogs and talked to them more about my life than to my wife. I honestly feel like I am in emotional survival mode, as I'm one step from moving up the career ladder, and one step away from finding love and comfort from the bottom of a whiskey bottle. I'm sure I'll be hearing from the manly men of Reddit about how I'm simping, but I'm not a machine. I just want to know and feel that someone I prioritize, aside from my kids, appreciates and loves me for what I do. I'm sure I'll hear from the stay-at-home moms of Reddit, which is fine. I grew up in a single-parent/mother household. It's not easy, and honestly, with the help of her mother and a nanny Monday to Friday for one toddler, while another child is at school, can you honestly tell me she's having the typical stay-at-home mother experience? Because neither my friends and colleagues who are single parents can say she is. I'm sure the masses of holier-than-thou Redditors will consider this a poorly written fanfic, but it is what it is. To add more context, 1. Never cheated. I do work in an industry that has a large female population, but I'm literally an open book with work, name, colleagues, and staff under me. She has access to my work agendas and correspondence if she really wanted to snoop. But on that note, she still doesn't know what exactly I do for a living at this time. 2. We as a whole family, her parents and mine, have tried to get her to go to therapy, but she refuses or skirts around the issue. 3. Aside from my coming from a single mother household per se, my biological dad was present in my life. She has had both parents in a reportedly monogamous marriage for over 40 years. 4. I have tried to talk to her about everything and my own feelings, but again, one-upmanship tends to be the trend here. 5. What I am getting out of the marriage was asked. Now, aside from my 2 beautiful kids, I've been asking myself that same question. We have a near non-existent intimate life, mainly since last year. I always figured maybe it's part of depression or whatever she may be going through. Maybe I'm just not attractive enough, or just horrible in bed because of my health conditions. I'm not some supermodel husband, but temptation and opportunity does knock, and I can perform still. But I never give in. Because as cliche as it sounds, I honestly do love my wife and want to only be with her. 6. I'll give credit where credit is due, as I don't want to sound biased. When I say she wakes up and cooks, she cooks for everyone in the house. Myself, kids, mother-in-law, and even nanny. Aside from breakfast, she cooks all meals and snacks. I typically fast until lunchtime, and our oldest tends to eat a small simple breakfast in case they don't like what school serves that morning. She does load both the kids and her laundry, but seldom folds and puts them up. I typically do my own, and the rest of my clothes I dry clean because they're work clothes. She does keep track of our pantry and fridge, but after she makes the list, I'm the one who goes out and buys everything if not delivered. She does clean our bathrooms and house 50% of the time, The other 50 is done by either mother-in-law or myself, or sometimes nanny if she feels like being extra helpful. 7. Prior to nanny, my mother-in-law was the main help for my wife up until she had unexpected medical needs. So I opted to hire a nanny to help them both, more so when mother-in-law is having treatments and recovering. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Woman here, if you ever divorce, you are completely welcome to come and ruin my life like that. Straight man here, but I'll also take this type of life ruining if you're willing. I am married, but I am gonna ask my husband if we can adopt you so you can ruin our life. I prefer my children ready to leave the house. Hi, stay-at-home mom here as predicted. She's taking advantage of you. I know taking care of kids is hard, but what is she actually doing? Because from where I'm sitting, it reads like you do everything while she just gripes and complains. Usually to you, about you. Sounds like she's checked out of the marriage and parenting role, and just hasn't asked for a divorce because you're bankrolling her. I don't know if it's PPD, generic depression, or something else. She's miserable and making you miserable alongside her. She needs to either get herself some help, get a part-time job at the very least, or get the heck out. Sit down with her when you have the time in between doing literally everything, and try to get to the bottom of things. Express your concerns in a non-accusatory manner, and ask her what's up with her, and how she feels things can be mended. Honestly, if she refuses to talk, blames everything on you still, and/or expects you to put even more work in, your marriage is over. You would be amazed at how much less stress you have when you don't have someone dragging you down and making you feel like crap along the way. Second, all of this, I'm also a stay-at-home mom. I don't know why OP's wife doesn't get a job if she's so miserable staying at home. One kid is in school, the other has a nanny. She has life on easy mode. Now for the first update. Not sure if anyone would read this, but thank you for those who have reached out and chit-chatted. While I know I've kept my newfound friends here updated, I figured I'd just update my post and keep it short. I showed my wife my post the following weekend, and she read it and all the comments. Long story short, argument. She left our house to stay with her sister, and I've been a single parent since. It's sad to say, aside from the good nights to our kids, it's all pretty much the same routine. Nothing much else to say other than thank you for all the kind words of encouragement. Just need to add, this post got bigger than I expected from a venting post, but I've responded to a few comments. Nonetheless, thank you for the comments and DMs, and more so for the offers to let me ruin your life. Haha. It's been the highlight of my days/night as I sit here drinking with my dog, while everyone else is asleep. Now for the second update. First of all, thank you for all the comments and DMs. Some context and clarification since admittingly my post was emotionally charged, since I typed it up after another argument. Post-birth, our kid's pediatrician's office gave my wife those postpartum depression screening forms, and during the time of both, she scored pretty high and was suggested to see a therapist. With our second child, she scored significantly higher, and we, or should I say, I made an effort to get her the help she needs. She refused, so entered mother-in-law and nanny for support. I know what people will say/think, but this is one of the reasons I am not 100% ready to just give up and file our life together away. Also, I know silently suffering in the near and long run for our kids' future will not add to a healthy atmosphere, but neither would a bitter and hate-filled divorce. I know some have compared it to the ripping off a bandage, saying it'll hurt at first but then pain goes away, but I'd rather try to spare my kids thinking that their parents ended up hating each other because of them, or something along those lines. I've told a few people I talked to in DM since my last post. A little more insight in my personal life. Prior to my promotion, I was a project manager, managing teams and budgets, so out of habit I planned for a lot of what-ifs. That being said, I made a number of contingency plans if things sadly went south. So yes, I have talked to a lawyer. 3, actually. Know our rights and what each of us are entitled to. Have a draft settlement created and on hold until I feel I need to use it. I know what I want, and I'm willing to offer more than what is fair for our kids' well-being, but also have a plan if we end up going to court. It's 100% on me that I'm suffering in silence, but I'm too stubborn to just give up. So while I am venting, I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for me. I endure it to keep the norm our kids know, ensure my mother-in-law's treatments go uninterrupted, and of course the hope my wife would finally be open to give therapy a shot, and climb together to a better place. Thank you all again. I just wanted to update those who have been kind enough to check up via DM and comments. Apologies in advance for the lengthy post. It's a bit of irony and coincidence that I made a follow-up from the update on May 6 I made on my original post during Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. But I could really use another outlet outside of my therapist. My apologies if this isn't the storybook ending / destroying of a relationship people were hoping for. To save you a read, wife left, came back like nothing happened. She made it about her. Nothing's changed. I'm continuing to be suffering mentally knowing nothing will change while trying to keep it together for our kids. Lots of takeout. The day after she packed up and left, my wife attempted to come back and take the kids with her to her sister's. Naturally, I was against this, and thankfully so was her whole family, including her sister. Not only was it not fair to our kids for her to sweep them away into a home that's not theirs, but to put that financial and housing stress on the rest of her family since she doesn't work. And her sister and her family, husband and 3 kids, stays with her dad in the house they grew up in. After a little over a week of being away, I guess she cooled off, so she just decided that it would be fine if she walked in the door with her bags, as if she just came back from Target. She came into my office while I was working and angrily stared at me while I sat on a conference call meeting with my team, and I couldn't just jump off as this is a busy time of the quarter for us. I guess that didn't sit well with her, because once I took off my headset and closed my laptop, she started yelling at me about how much I really don't care about her and her well-being overall. At that moment, I couldn't do anything more than look at her and just shake my head. Mother-in-law came in after hearing my wife yelling and pulled her away, telling her to not bother me, while our nanny kept our youngest away from it all on the other side of the house. That night after the kids were put to bed, I sat in my office by myself with a drink, as I have been doing for the past nights, and my wife came in. We talked, we argued, we cried, we drank. One thing led to another and we were in bed. I wish I could say that was our making up, but the next sobering morning as we laid there, she went on about how hard it was for her the time she was gone. Literally, it was about her struggles, staying at her family house in her old room with her dad and sister's family. How lucky I am to be able to stay here and do this and that, and buy this or do that, and not stress as much as they did. How easy my and everyone else's in our family lives are compared to hers, even though we had similar upbringings. My mind and heart broke that morning. I've been spiraling down since then, and this last week I made another attempt to reconcile and talk things out. But I was met with a shouting match while trying to express my current stress and anxieties with life and work in general. Wife, well, do you know how hard this is all for me? You're supposed to help me be happy. Me, so when it comes to my happiness, stress, needs, and overall well-being, F me, get over it, right? Wife, we all have our own problems. You need to figure it out and get over them. I don't know who the woman I am at home with is, but that wasn't the woman I married and vowed to spend my life with and raise our kids together. Since that conversation, I've been noticeably distant with her. I've been sleeping in my office or in the couch or with my kids in their bed after putting either one of them to sleep. Still doesn't change her starting her day at 10 a.m. and sitting on her phone talking to her mom groups between cooking meals, with the kids in both mother-in-law and nanny's care. Nothing has changed, and I doubt anything will change. Sadly, I think even if we got a divorce, nothing would change or feel different anyway, since during my wife's leaving, the day seemed like any other day, except with a little more takeout than usual. My main fear there isn't that I wouldn't just lose my wife, I'd lose my kids in a process. So I guess it's sad to say the grand finale to my story, with like a lot of men and some women I've talked to here, I'll just continue to smile and suffer in silence. You are teaching your kids that a home without love is okay. Stop. If nothing changed with her gone, divorce her and get over it. Then start living for yourself and your kids. You really are just being a coward at this point. Why would you not just get a divorce, for Pete's sake? If it's for the kids, this is the worst thing for the kids. Imagine growing up thinking this is what adult relationships are supposed to be like. Those kids are being programmed to accept terrible relationships as the norm. I feel so bad for them. Nothing has changed because you won't change it. It all starts and ends with you. Until you realize you're the only one who can change your own destiny, nothing will ever change. Take control. Take back your life. My parents had a toxic marriage, and my sibling and I begged them to get a divorce. My dad finally moved out, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief, including my dad. My parents got along great after that, and everyone was happy. Staying together for the children just makes everyone miserable. I've seen more ugly divorces than good ones like the one you described. OP's wife seems manipulative as hell. She will 100% poison these kids' mind in order to make herself out to be the victim, while he is the villain. Last story. I'm ghosting my girlfriend and I don't care if I'm wrong for it anymore. I'm just done. It's stupid, it's dumb, it's a bad reason, but I cannot freaking take it anymore. My blood pressure has legit been spiking over this recently, and I cannot keep this up. I cannot do it. We've been together for close to a year, and this problem has only come up over the past 2 months. She never did this crap when we first got together, and I don't know why she freaking started. But I'm so sick of it, it's crazy. Whenever we get food, she always eats off my plate, no matter what it is or where we are. The only thing that stops her is if I order the same exact thing as her, and she's taken to ordering things that I cannot eat, so I can't do that. If I tell her to stop in the moment, she just laughs, and when I talk to her about it privately, she blows me off because it isn't a big deal. But it is to me, goddammit. I have a history of food insecurity which makes it a lot worse, and I've tried to explain that. But then she's snapping that I'm being condescending, and I just can't. Most recently, she had a plate full of her pizza on the table and had eaten over half of my medium pepperoni. And I was so mad, I just grabbed 2 slices off her plate without asking, which made her go into shock for a moment, before screaming and acting like I had freaking slapped her in the face or something, spitting and going red in the face. You don't even like olives, you freaking a-hole? You always have to be right about everything, you prick. You can't just let me have this one freaking thing? As if I had been the one consistently stealing from her for months. I just went cold, tossed the pizza back on her plate, not at her, as she was in my face, screaming and a ways away from the plate. And then I just left the apartment. She claims there was no reason to get violent over text, but I knew then that I was freaking done. I've never raised a head nor my voice to her, and lightly tossing pizza on a plate across the room while she screams into my face is violent? Nah, I'm getting away from her. She's now tried to apologize, but I'm not going near her again, or answering any messages/calls from her. God only knows if she'll decide to call the cops and have me arrested for my violent behavior, and I'm not chancing it. If I'm so freaking awful and violent, she can get away from me and be safe to steal constantly from other people. I know ghosting is wrong. I've been through it before, but after that, I don't know if I trust myself to speak to her cordially again. I want to scream and curse back, but that isn't who I am and not how I was raised. I don't like the person she's turned into, and I hate the person she's turning me into. Now for the top advice. You're good. She knows what you did. She knows how much it bothered you. She decided it was fun to do it anyway. Just block her on everything and move on. She gets her kicks from passive-aggressive behavior, and it's bullying too. Lose her. It's abuse, and it gets worse over time. I was trapped in a relationship with a woman similar to this. It wasn't about sharing food, but she'd used this technique in other ways. And over the course of 3 years, it evolved into a form of Stockholm Syndrome, in which she was gaslighting me, then verbally and finally physically abusing me, until I left. I'm actually texting with one of my best friends that I helped get away from a woman like this about a year ago. He is still struggling. He definitely has PTSD. He is falling into the deepest depression I've ever seen him in, and it's just a constant effort to try to pull him out. When someone you love so much messes with your sense of self and reality, it can truly break you. I hope you're happy and okay now.
Update. Am I the a-hole for sending my daughter to live with her grandmother and giving her clothes to her sister? Original story. Okay, so title is a doozy, but let me explain. I, 34 female, am a single mother with 2 children. 14 female and 11 female. Up until recently, they've had a typical sibling relationship. Bickering, but they ultimately love each other. This all changed on Thursday. I was taking 11 out for a birthday shop and had left 14 home alone. We were only gone for 2 hours. When we got back, everything was fine. 14 was doing her homework and she had done the chores I had asked her to. 11 ran up to her room to try on new clothes when I hear screaming. 14 had completely trashed her, 11's, room. Her clothes were cut up. Her makeup had been destroyed and smeared on the walls and desk. Her books had been ripped up and schoolwork missing. We found it in a bin bag outside, and it was luckily in harm's along with her favorite stuffed animal. 11 was, understandably, in hysterics, and 14 seemed to show remorse, but I was so overwhelmed that I called my mom and told her she needs to come pick 14 up. Whilst we were waiting, 11 was sifting through her stuff, and I was in 14's room going through her clothes. She asked what I was doing, and I told her that since she destroyed 11's clothes, she needs some to wear whilst I get her some more. And I'm giving her 14's clothes for the time being. 14 still had enough clothes to wear though. She got super upset and went outside to wait for her grandma. It's Saturday and I was talking to my sister and friends about it. My sister called me an a-hole for shipping 14 off without trying to understand her motives and for giving her clothes to 11. She accused me favoring 11. My friends also said it was weird that I gave 14's clothes to 11 and that it was an odd punishment. Am I the a-hole? Info. I don't favor one daughter over the other. I grew up as the obvious second choice out of myself, and my sister and I strive to make them both feel loved. Literally last weekend, 11 went to stay with her uncle and cousin, so 14 and I could have a spa weekend together. So it's not like I neglected either of them. We're also very open about mental health in general, and this is one of the only times I've acted on anger/impulse in front of my kids. 14 doesn't have any diagnosed illnesses. It was a priority to get them both checked because I have mental illnesses. But 14 got checked in September 2020 and nothing came up. I'm going to get 14 a therapist, but it's hard due to recent events. Now for the top comments before reading the update. So, just suddenly, out of the blue, for no apparent reason, your daughter violently destroyed her sister's room and property? There's some missing info here. I hardly agree. 14 has some, obviously, pent-up issues toward 11. That is a massively destructive outburst, malicious and targeted. There's clearly some pent-up rage, but not necessarily because of 11. It's entirely possible that 14-year-old is being victimized by someone that is taking it out on a safe target. Not at a-hole. It was a good decision to remove one child from a clearly overwhelming situation, but now begins the work. You need to find out why this happened. There must be a reason somewhere. Don't make the mistake of just being angry with 14. There needs to be consequences, sure, but also some serious source finding. This had a reason. Not at a-hole. Separating the two girls was absolutely necessary, and it was a good idea for you to get some time and space so that you could cool down by sending the offending child to a neutral location with a supportive family member. The heat of the moment is not a good time for conversation. Since 14 destroyed 11's clothing, it is only just that some of 14's clothes to be given to her. It's not punishment, it's reparations. Why should you be forced to go out and spend money replacing clothing that 14 destroyed? I think your focus in getting everyone to a good mental place is absolutely spot on. Don't listen to people who think you were too hard on your older daughter because your response was logical and measured and thoughtful. You say you acted out of anger, but you were not nasty or punitive. You did exactly what I would have done, and did once. It is not productive to force people to live inside a pressure cooker. Edit. People are assuming I'm not talking to 14. I am. I also asked why she did what she did before her gran arrived, and she said she didn't know. Earlier today, she told me she wanted to smash things up. People also have an issue with the length that I've sent her away. I want to make sure 11 is okay mentally too. She had literally all of her belongings ruined, and I don't want to put her in a position where she has to live with someone who did that to her. I am planning on switching the girls. 11 goes to grandma and 14 comes to me. But again, I want to make sure everyone is okay mentally. Someone mentioned a TikTok trend where people trash other people's belongings. I know both 14 and 11 watch TikToks, so I might scroll through the videos to look for evidence. And now for the update. So 11 and I went to my mom's house for Easter and I saw 14. We had been talking on FaceTime and on call. She was happy to see me, and I told her we needed to have a long talk about what had happened. I said what she did was very out of character, and that I want to get to the bottom of it. I asked if 11 had done anything to provoke her and if she was jealous. She didn't believe 11 deserved a birthday out because 11 had neglected her chores the previous day. She didn't do the dishes after dinner like she's meant to. Whilst that was something to grasp onto, it didn't totally make sense, as I've never said you can't do X because of Y, unless they did something terrible or there was something we had to do like other commitments. I tried to press further into why 14 felt that way, but she didn't say. I also have never done this to 14. I asked if she had negative feelings. She said sort of. She says she gets super angry at random, and often inconsequential, things like YouTube taking longer to load, or if we don't have a snack she wants to eat, for example, but sometimes there is no reason, and she just gets angry, which is what happened on Thursday. She said she started with 11's lamp, then a glass on her counter, and the more stuff she smashed/destroyed, the better she felt. She explained the ordeal as her blacking out, because she didn't realize how far she'd gone until she had destroyed everything. She said she felt terrible though. She didn't tell me why she wrecked 11's room specifically, but I inferred it has to do with her feelings that 11 didn't deserve a birthday day out, so it was a punishment of sorts fueled by this irrational anger. I understand that 14's explanation may seem all over the place, but I was, and am, just happy to have something out of her and hopefully she'll be able to work through it with professionals. I also apologized for kicking her out and letting my emotions get the better of me. She accepted. On Monday, 14 had her first meeting with a psychiatrist, Jane. She hasn't been able to diagnose 14 with anything yet, but from talking to 14 and Jane afterwards, it's likely 14 has narcissism disorder and perhaps intermittent explosive disorder, but these aren't concrete. I'm doing research on both these things to help 14 the best I can. I do want to address some things that were brought up a lot in the original post. The whole point of separating the girls was to help 11 come to terms with 98% of her stuff being obliterated off the face of the earth, to rebuild her room and safe space, to help her decide which broken objects she wants to keep, etc. It was a snap judgment fueled by emotion, definitely, but I still had to make a decision. 14 is very close to her grandmother, and if 14 is anything like me at that age, she'd spill to her grandmother. Sending 14 to her grandmother's house was not, and should never, be punishment. In that moment, I was so angry and out of my head that any attempt to have a civil sit-down chat with 14 would have inevitably turned into a screaming match, which is not what anyone needed/needs. Now comes the hard bit. 11 is traumatized. She said she'd come with me to see Grandma, but she didn't want to see 14. She told me she's afraid of 14, which I feel is warranted, but I haven't voiced that. She stayed in the car during the visit. 11 has almost reverted back to a young child. She started coming into my bed at night due to nightmares, and she also seems very detached from her former self. She's now quite cold, whereas she was very bubbly before. We've been very open about the whole situation, and 11 just says it's hard because she's lost things from friends and family members that were very valuable, as well as trivial things, like her favorite pair of socks or pen. I've done my best to try to substitute things. 11 has become very clingy to me, and my plan of switching living situations, 14 comes to me and 11 goes to Grandma, won't be happening anytime soon. 11 gets visibly panicked when I mention it. I'm going to get 11 a therapist, and after speaking to Jane, we all, Jane, Grandma, 14, and I, agreed that 14 should stay with Grandma until 11 is okay mentally. I'm still going to visit 14 regularly, and we plan to talk every night. I've also told 14 that she is going to have to pay for everything we buy for 11, and that's starting from next week. She'll have to re-earn her belongings through good behavior, chores, etc. Grandma's on board with us and is going to help me with it. Her electronic access is limited to schoolwork, and she can earn back minutes of electronic fun time, just like her belongings. So overall, things are getting slowly better, but it's going to be a long ride. Thank you to everyone who was actually helpful. It meant a lot. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for sending my daughter away? I, 52 female, am a single mom with 5 kids. 3 of them are adults, and 2, 14 female and 13 male, are minors who live with me. Their father is currently incarcerated. 14 female has been diagnosed with major depressive disorder and severe anxiety, and has been struggling with it for the past 2 years. I've tried to be there to support her, but I work a lot to make ends meet. There has been some issues in my past that may have contributed to her condition, alcoholism, but I'm working on getting it under control. The problem is that I feel like she isn't making any progress. She has meds that apparently aren't working anymore, and she's been hospitalized twice. I feel like she isn't implementing any of the skills and coping mechanisms she's learned. She says that she's trying, but it's harder than I think it is. I've been through my own issues before, and I do realize that is not easy, but I feel like it's been long enough. So I made the decision to send her to her aunt's house for a few weeks. I think she'll be able to have a more rigid schedule and support system over there. I told her about it last night, and she freaked out. Told me that I didn't love her and that I was just sick of dealing with her and her issues. And when I stuck my ground, she told me that she didn't feel safe at her aunt's house and should go anywhere but there, which I think are just excuses. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Some additional information. 1. She had a therapist for months, but she was the one who wanted to stop, about a month ago. Because apparently, her therapist was saying a lot of things that made her feel bad about herself. I'm actively looking for a new one within our budget. 2. I love my daughter very much, despite what you think. 3. My adult children do not speak to me. They keep in touch with their younger siblings, but I don't even know where they live. 4. I probably should have included it in the post. But another reason for sending her away is for my son's sake. He hates seeing his sister like that, and it makes him extremely upset that she won't interact with him anymore as they grew up very close. Also, they have a drastically different relationship with their father, and it's something that causes fights between them. He regularly speaks to and visited, because of COVID, him, and she has been no contact for about 2 years now. Now for the top comments. The biggest "you're the a-hole" I can possibly give. Let's count out why. 1. You're quick to dismiss that your alcoholism has seriously contributed to her illness and give yourself plenty of leeway in getting it under control, which you don't give her, despite the fact that she's 14. Being 14 is hard enough. 2. If she's not making any progress, why would sending her somewhere she really hates be any better? It's obvious you're just trying to get rid of her, so it's less headache for you. And she's definitely aware of that. 3. The fact that she's saying anywhere but there about her aunt's house is so upsetting. How do you know nothing bad has happened to her there? Have you even bothered asking why she doesn't feel safe there? At 14, sounds like this poor kid has been through more than some adults. The fact that she's been hospitalized multiple times is terrifying. Take actual care of her and ask her what she needs. 4. And don't forget Dad is in prison. This brings to mind 2 possibilities. He may be the better emotionally supportive parent and is now unavailable. 5. Dad may also have been an addict, /alcoholic, /violent, adding to the chaotic childhood caused by mom's alcoholism. I know not all prisoners are addicts or abusers, but this seems a strong possibility. 6. I wonder if one of the 3 adult children were parentified, so she's lost her real mom. You're the a-hole. She didn't feel safe at her aunt's house and should go anywhere but there. If she doesn't feel safe at her aunt's place, then don't send her to her aunt's place. If you dismiss this as just an excuse, I think I can see why she may have some diagnosis. You're the a-hole for so many reasons. I'm surprised no one has brought it up. You're an alcoholic that's still working on getting it under control as a 52-year-old adult. Why are you allowed 50+ years to get your crap under control, but your child needs a timeline? Your child deserves better than you. Edit 2. Okay, I get it. I am the a-hole. I have thrown away the idea of sending my daughter to her aunt's. My eldest daughter drove 3 hours to pick 14 female up, and she tore into me when she got here. As much as some of you are reading between the lines and drawing conclusions that aren't true, a lot of you have really good points. I can't be a good parent when I'm not dealing with my own issues in a healthy way. I'm going to work harder to solve them. I will try to let my older daughter know about the possible abuse and see if she can get her to open up. Because obviously 14 female will not talk to me about it right now. Lastly, big screw you to the people leaving death threats in my PMs. It's never okay, even if you think I'm the most awful person in the world. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents to punish my sister? I, 15 female, live with my parents and my siblings, 11 female and 8 male. My sister and I do not have a good relationship. I think she's spoiled, entitled, and whiny as hell. I think my parents let her act however the heck she wants to act, and they don't give a crap how it affects everyone else. It's like she's still 2 years old, allowed into everyone's things, to interrupt when people are talking, is allowed to dictate stuff even when it's meant to be someone else's turn. Like my brother's birthday. He wanted burgers and she wanted pizza. So pizza it was. Even though her favorite place he doesn't like and it was his birthday, or when it was mine and I wanted tacos and she wanted pizza. Another time I was babysitting and my brother and I wanted McDonald's and she wanted pizza again, and she threw an epic tantrum because she couldn't get her way, and then our parents told me I was wrong. Even for family time, she will throw a tantrum if she doesn't like the movie chosen and then she gets to choose. They've even changed my brother's last 2 birthday parties to do what she likes instead of what he likes. And he was heartbroken the last time because he really wanted to do karting. I hate it. She's not a baby. She's just spoiled, and I do not like spending time with her. I only spend time with her when it's family time, and even then, it's such a PITA. I have a diary where I vent about her, so I won't end up saying that stuff to her face. I keep it under my mattress. Yesterday, I was dropping off stuff at my grandparents' house, and when I got home, she had turned my room upside down and she found my diary. She was hurt by the stuff she read, and mad about it too, and she threw another tantrum. But I was more pissed. My parents were mad at me when she snooped and tossed my stuff around. They said my punishment should be having to clean it up, which I found really unfair, and I told them it was her that should be punished. I told them nobody will want to deal with her eventually if she keeps acting like that, and she deserved to be punished for doing what she did. My parents were then even more mad that I was telling them what to do and how to parent. They said I should apologize for that. I don't think it's wrong when they're the ones encouraging bad behavior. I also think it's unfair when they let her get away with crap. Not Dayhole. You need to start throwing a tantrum back and get your brother involved as well. 2 can yell louder than 1. A resounding chorus of "that's not fair," "she's a brat," etc. may start resonating with your parents. If they want an easy life and giving into her is it, then play her at her own game. Birthday party-wise, definitely start outright refusing. No, it is my/brother's birthday. If she doesn't like it, she's not invited. And definitely start telling your sister this stuff directly. I don't want you at my birthday. You're trying to change it to what you want. So you aren't welcome. Keep it up, ignore the tears, etc. Refuse to apologize and speak calmly to parents about their favoritism and how they're ruining your birthdays to the point you won't want anything to do with your sister when you're old enough to have a choice. This stuff will sink in, but be clear and direct. Speak with authority. Not Dayhole. This is clear favoritism. She's going to have a hard time when she gets older and people stop tolerating her shenanigans. Your parents are mad at you because you're right. If they weren't so bad at parenting, you wouldn't need to tell them how to parent. She will probably manipulate other people. Not Dayhole. She's their golden child. They don't want to acknowledge it, but it's true. So many stories on Reddit about the golden child and how parents indulge them to the detriment of their relationships with their other kids, such as in the case of you and your brother. These actions they're doing right now will be the roots of your low/no contact with them and your sister in the future. Not Dayhole. Your parents are enabling her behavior, and they're either willfully ignorant about it or know exactly what they're doing and have picked her out as the golden child. Can you go to your grandparents about how your parents and sister are acting? They've tried before. My parents don't care. It annoys the crap out of them too.